Shalom Mashpaka. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel, Tina Alyshaba. Today's scripture reading will be out of Yovheliym or Jubilees chapter 42. And if you haven't already, grab your Cepher to follow along. Now let's get started. Chapter 42. And in the first year of the 3rd week of the 45th Jubilee, the famine began to come into the land. And the rain refused to be given to the earth, for none whatsoever fell. And the earth grew barren. But in the land of Mitzrayim there was food, for Joseph had gathered the seed of the land in the 7 years of plenty, and had preserved it. And the Mitzrayim came to Joseph, that he might give them food, and he opened the storehouses where was the grain of the first year, and he sold it to the people of the land for gold. And Yaakov heard that there was food in Mitzrayim, and he sent sons that they should procure food for him in Mitzrayim. But Benjamin he did not send, and arrived among those that went there. And Joseph recognized them, but they did not recognize him. And he spoke unto them, and questioned them. And he said unto them, Are you not spies? And have you not come to explore the approaches of the land? And he put them in ward, and after that he set them free again, and he detained Shimon alone, and set off his 9 brothers. And he filled their sacks with grain, and he put their gold in their sacks, and they did not know. And he commanded them to bring their younger brother, for they had told him their father was living, and their younger brother. And they went up from the land of Mitzrayim, and they came to the land of Canaan. And they told their father all that had befallen them, and how the Adonai of the country had spoken roughly to them, and had seized Shimon, till they should bring Benjamin. And Yaakov said, Me have you bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Shimon also is not, and you will take Benjamin away? On me has your wickedness come. And he said, My son will not go down with you, lest perchance he fall sick. For their mother gave birth to 2 sons, and one is perished. And this one also you will take from me. If perchance he took a fever on the road, you would bring down my old age with sorrow unto death. For he saw that their money had been returned to every man in his sack, and for this reason he feared to send him. And the famine increased and became sore in the land of Canaan, and all lands save in the land of Mitzrayim. For many of the children of the Mitzrayim had stored up their seed for food from the time when they saw Joseph gathering seed together, and putting it in storehouses, and preserving it for the years of famine. And the people of Mitzrayim fed themselves thereon during the first year of their famine. But when Yasharel saw that the famine was very sore in the land, and that there was no deliverance, he said unto his sons, Go again, and procure food for us, that we die not. And they said, We shall not go, unless our youngest brother goes with us. We shall not go. And Yasharel saw that if he did not send him with them, they should all perish by reason of the famine. And Reuben said, Give him into my hand, and if I do not bring him back to you, slay my 2 sons instead of his soul. And he said unto him, He shall not go with you. And Yehuda came near and said, Send him with me, and if I do not bring him back to you, let me bear the blame before you all the days of my life. And he sent him with them in the 2nd year of this week, on the 1st day of the month. And they came to the land of Mitzrayim with all those who went, and they had presents in their hands, stacked, and almonds, and terebinth nuts, and honey. And they went up and stood before Joseph, and he saw Benjamin his brother, and he knew him. And he said unto them, Is this your youngest brother? And they said unto him, It is he. And he said, Yahuwah be gracious to you, my son. And he sent him into his house, and he brought forth Shimon unto them, and he made a feast for them, and they presented to him the gift which they had brought into their hands. And they ate before him and gave them all a portion, but the portion of Benjamin was 7 times larger than that of any of theirs. And they ate and drank and arose and remained with their asses. And Joseph devised a plan whereby he might learn their thoughts as to whether thoughts of peace prevailed amongst them. And he said to the steward who was over his house, fill all their sacks with food, and return their money unto them into their vessels, and my cup, the silver cup out of which I drink, and put it in the sack of the youngest, and send them away. This concludes the reading of Yovheliym, chapter 42. Mashbaka, or family, who has given you any insight or wisdom, please post it in the comments below. A couple things that I walked away from in this chapter specifically was the first one, verse 3, that talks about how the people gave gold for food. So we know going into this chapter, the famine was here. And I can't help to think about the times that we're in. This country, or the nation of Babylon, U.S., amongst other nations, it's quite obvious that things have changed. We have inflation, prices of food, and things that we need for daily life have significantly increased, And I think that this chapter is a reflection of definitely where we're headed. If you control the food, you control the people. So the next thing that I picked up on by verse 5 was Joseph immediately recognized his brothers, as we've already known that from other books of the Bible. But I think, never before even waking up to truth and reading the word, it just never sat with me like how what I saw, the image of what Yahusha looked like, or even the image of Joseph, or in this case, Joseph, any of, our family member, our forefathers from the word, what they look like. And it just, some reason, just never matched up. But also, even with the description, like, let's just take Masha. He put his hand in his bosom, and then when he pulled it out, it was white as snow. And I just remember thinking, like, that don't make sense. If you are already light-skinned or white, if you put your hand in your bosom, why would it be of a miracle of significance, if you will? And in this case, like, same thing with Joseph. He, I was always like mental note. And then obviously waking up to truth, then I understood, okay, that's why, because they were all melanated. And so much so that even the Mitzri, or in this case, the Egyptians, Yasharel, look very similar in skin tone to the Egyptians. And, even, Shaul, the church always preaches from Paul or Shaul. And I believe it's the book of Acts, of Mitzrayim, that Shaul was mistaken by a Roman soldier for being an Egyptian. So this portrayal of Yasharel looking one way, I guess what you want to call whited out, is not so. So I think that's what, stood out to me, is just, again, additional confirmation that his brothers didn't recognize him, but he recognized them. So, and then this is the next thing. By verse 10, Yaakov, he's so distraught about the request for Benjamin that he calls out their sin. He says, on me has your wickedness come. Like, he recognizes, or he states that they are wicked in their ways. And that as a result, he's paying for their sins and asking, okay, his mother's already passed away. His brother is not. Now you want him? It's absolutely not. And so it's, I think as a parent, it's important that the word says, train up your child in the way they should go, so when they are old, they will not depart. And that's why it's so important to make sure that our children do know the word, and we plant them as best as we can. And then when they get old enough to make their own decisions on if they want to choose Yahuwah or choose the world, we've got to let them go to do that. But ultimately, we have to trust the fact that we did make sure in their youth that they were given Yahuwah's word. They were taught it. They understand it, and that Yahuwah is going to be faithful. That they will guard it, guard His Torah, guard His word. At some point, I can only speak for myself. Not that my parents growing up, they were religious. We went to church here and there, but I know for me that my own personal journey of, and I'll have to give my testimony another time, but I did go wayward. I was probably worse than the prodigal son, because I didn't even know, I didn't even have like a true foundation of anything, but to see Yahuwah bring me back in at a certain point when I got to my lowest, and then start to work with me. Like, I got a chance in my youth to, get to at least know who He was, to have access to a Bible, to read it, not really having a true understanding, so I was blind, and then ultimately giving my life to Him through acknowledging Yahushua HaMashiach as His son and my salvation. And then Yahuwah woke me up in 2019 to give me the whole big picture of His truth, to see it the way His word is truly written and not the way it's been taught, and how we're supposed to truly live, and how as a people of this time we have fallen short, and why it's so important for me to read the word and read it to you all. And I pray every day that you would have eyes to see and ears to hear His truth. So going back to verse 10 with Yaakov acknowledging or verbalizing the sins of his sons, of why he's experiencing what he's experiencing, we just need to make a choice and commitment to make sure our children are raised up in the fear of Yahuwah. And ultimately for this chapter, I can't help but think about just famine and I believe that everything is worse than what they make it out to be. And I just pray that, you are storing up, not only physical food, but just continue to store up the word of Yah too. That as things, get tougher out here, that you're trusting Yahuwah to supply your needs according to His riches and glory every single day, and that you would seek refuge in Him, despite what is going on in the world. Seek Him. That's what I have for right now, as far as my perspective and what, the revelation I've given, that you has given me, but definitely would love to know what you all got out of this chapter, and what is that, and how you would apply this to your life. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you enjoyed this reading, you can find other chapters of this book in the playlist, amongst other books from the Cepher that I've read. And those of you that have come back and you been rocking with me, thank you. And I just want to say something really quick too. I'm lifting up all of you all that are, Florida, Georgia, I believe the Carolinas, that are experiencing this storm, if you will, or Hurricane Debbie. I'm lifting you up all for safety and provision. That's what you hear in the background is I'm in Florida, so there's rain back here. And if this channel reading of Yahuwah's word has been a blessing to you, please share, like, and subscribe. Ane ahabata mashpaka. I love you, family. Yahuwah barakata. Yahuwah bless you. Shalom.